everyone. Today we will be discussing the difference between diversity and affirmative action. So now you mentioned something about drivers. So go into the drivers of the diversity versus affirmative action.
Okay. The drivers are about how we practically or purposely engage in those differences. Time is about, again, the breadth and depth of the vision associated with affirmative action versus diversity. So affirmative action historically has a very short vision in terms of the infraction, the punishment or the sanction, and then whether or not it's going to reoccur. Okay, it's pretty much those three major steps. Okay, what did you do? Here's what we do because of what you did, and here's what we have in place so you don't do it again. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
There's not much learning to that. There's not much development of the perpetrator in that as well, and there's not much practice as a professional to engage someone in a learning process.
Okay.
Okay, so in contrast to that, when you're a diversity officer, you're strategic and futuristic with regard to time, and you're thinking about how can, if something bad happens or things go awry, how can, in our preventative effort, can we also enhance and develop the environment in which the person felt that it was okay to do wrong in the first place.
Wow.
You see, so it's much more than the person. It's bigger than the person. It involves the whole system in which the action occurred.
So it's almost similar to a household.
Oh, absolutely.
Family household.
Yep.
And in other words, that whatever you do impacts the whole. Impacts the home environment, impacts how people feel that are within that home, and either it's going to be positive, negative, nurturing, bringing out the best in you, or it's going to be an oppressed type of environment where you feel that you don't add value, that there's this negative cloud that every time you walk in the house, you don't want to be there, and you find ways to be gone as soon as possible and all that kind of stuff. And many of us kind of know that, especially if you have teenagers. You understand what we're talking about here. So are those? Is that all of the big seven? Is
there's one more. I think I did 6.
Okay, all right.
There's one more. I think the last one is purpose. Okay, purpose. Purpose as in why was diversity or affirmative action created, manifested, implemented, etc. in the first place?
Okay.
Why did these things come into play? And so we all should know, most managers know, affirmative action was created for access for women and minorities, or underrepresented people of color, underrepresented population. And that's been the case since the onset back in the civil rights movement up until now, when we're talking about maximizing potential for all, which is the diversity side. So there's some connectivities and a lot of cross-references between the two with regard to purpose. But one started and the other one is at the finish, the finishing perspective. But so that it means it really is apples and oranges in terms of why each one has come into the public eye. Different. Not only for different reasons, but at different segments of our history, of the country, different segments of American history. So right now, diversity is on top in terms of the concept, the belief, the American value that is inclusive of all talent people, regardless of where they come from and what talent they bring to the table. But back in the day, it didn't used to be like that. No. You know, it was just about access and getting people in the door. But once they got in the door, there wasn't any focus on how they were being treated and what forms of equity they were afforded, etc. So now we're on the far end of the continuum, and we need some massive development on this end. But still, in terms of our conversation, herein lies the differences. Access for women and people of color, and maximization the maximization of the potential for all your talent of your employees.
Right. So that's really this is well, this is some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think definitely big seven. So as a former manager and leader within both governmental and non-governmental organization, I can see while there are some definite reasons why we need to know the difference between the two.
Yes.
Okay. One of the main differences is that there is no way for you as a leader or anyone that's in leadership to be successful without understanding the difference, because you have to first understand and recognize the differences, appreciate the differences, and the value that every single employee brings to the table.
Yes.
You have to understand them. You have to know what their capabilities are, and then be willing to utilize those capabilities for the good. Because then when you do that, then what happens is that you're building that person up. You're actually empowering them to even be better than they thought they could ever be. Absolutely. So that's paramount. Right. If you want to have a successful business, you have to pay attention, recognize, appreciate your employees for who they are. Not because of their color, not because of their age, not because of where they were born, which they had no control over in the first place, not because of any of those things that we try to put in numbers.
That's right.
That was former affirmative action, but understanding that it's bigger than that. And when leaders understand that, then what happens is that they build a different type of work environment that make people want to come to work, that make people enjoy coming to work, and also contributing in a very positive and proactive manner. Right. So, and one of the others I had, and another one written down here, is that one of the reasons is that also it allows your employees to feel accepted.
Yes.
That's so important.
That's so important. That is so
Think about your household. Since we went there. Suppose if every time you went home, you didn't feel accepted in your own home. Yeah. Suppose if every time you went home, people ignored you. People felt that what you had to say didn't matter at all. Right. Okay? You have an opinion, but nobody ever wants to hear your opinion. Suppose if that nobody included you in anything because you're not part of the quote-unquote clique or part of the group, right, or because you haven't been there long enough, or for whatever reasons you can think about. How would you feel? Well, now if you bring that into the work environment, then what are you doing to that employee? Well, you're alienating them. You're shutting them down. And what happens is that they have this feeling of oppression, and that they feel they'll never get fulfill their full potential in whatever position that they're in. And I don't care if it's the CEO or if it's the janitor that's sweeping the floor at night. People have to feel accepted regardless of wherever they are.
Absolutely.
So relationships are important. Diversity starts with relationship, and I think you mentioned that.
Absolutely. It
starts with relationship. We have to develop relationships with our people around us. And guess what? Just like he said, time, it takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time.
That's right.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, so, well, I can just go right from here. The time it takes is part of that proactive concept associated with diversity. Right. Managers, leaders, etc. in the workplace have to take time to self-assess. Yes. It is so critical in preparation to exercise the difference between diversity and affirmative action. Right. You have to know who you are, what you bring to the table, how you think, what is your thinking pattern and process that you use to solve problems. Right. Right. When those things are in place and you are thoroughly versed on what happens when you are faced with a problem, then you're in position to help others that you are hired to lead, and you're responsible for leading toward production of some widget or some educational outcome. Right. 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 It's your baby to be proactive about the tools you bring to the table as a leader or manager. And when you do that, you're actually exercising those critical differences between diversity and affirmative action for your own personal benefit. Okay, so you're voluntarily doing these things. You're want to be competitive as a manager and leader. You want to be the best at your job. You want to qualify your relationships with people in terms of quantify them. Okay, you want to be proactive in your preparation. You want to see your relationship with those who follow you as an opportunity, as opposed to something that you respond to. You want to be strategic and futuristic in the way that you approach the broader scope of your responsibility, so that both your company and your staff benefit at the same time. And ultimately, you want your whole realm or division or office, whatever it is that you're completely responsible for, you want everyone's potential in that realm to be maximized for the greater benefit.
Wow.
That's the difference.
Oh wow, this is awesome. I know our time is up.
Yeah,
however, but I will tell you, this is so exciting, and this is the kind of conversation that we're going to have on these video clips, because this will make a difference for you, make a difference for anyone that's watching. So I will tell you now. So Ken, tell us what we're going to focus on in our next video.
So we're going to continue a little bit on this series, but as I mentioned, there's two of the drivers that are really critical. Okay. One is focus. The other is purpose. We're going to spend some time on those two in the next segment, just on those two alone. And we'll drill down into some cross-references between diversity and affirmative action from those two driver perspectives. Okay. Stay tuned with us. We look forward to being with you again soon.
And don't forget to give us your comments. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
So you can contact us with the information that's going across the screen. And we look forward to the conversation, the dialogue, and yes, your comments. And tell somebody about this L&D series that you just found, because there's more to come.
Absolutely.
See you soon.
Thanks for joining. Goodbye.